everybody knows I'm dyslexic. I think it's just because of the way my mom was so like able to empower me from a young age, and her advocacy work kind of started right from that diagnosis.
Welcome to Mental Health Mirage, a Raising Moxie podcast, where we speak with educational leaders, parents, physicians, and others who want to reform society's approach to kids. I'm Dr. Hodges, CEO and founder of Raising Moxie. I had the pleasure of speaking with Lauryn today. She's a college-bound high school senior. One of the main things that we really honed in on was society's underestimation of neurodiverse individuals and the value of embracing one's unique strengths and challenges and listening to our inner compass. I think you're going to love this episode, and I'm excited for you to listen in.
Hi.
How are you? It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm doing well.
I'm excited to talk to you.
I'm excited too.
Let's start with your journey. So why don't you tell me, we're just meeting. So go ahead.
Okay, so in second grade, December of second grade, I was diagnosed twice exceptional, meaning that I have an extremely high IQ, but I'm also dyslexic. And I have ADHD, and dyscalculia, and dyspraxia, and dysgraphia. So really coming, like, and hearing that at the age of, like, 7 or 8, I was like, what does this all even mean? Like, I'm so young. And realizing that you're different from people like that at such a young age, it's like, I don't really know how to necessarily explain it. You're like, oh, I have these things, like, that's unique and interesting. But it's also like, I'm different. And I really started to notice that when I was in my public school, and I would get pulled out to do one-on-one remediation, or what they'd like to call remediation, with a tutor, and they pull me out during my elective periods. So not while I was in classroom with learning and instructional time. They'd pull me out during the periods that were supposed to be our free time. Now, as an older person, my free time and spending time doing those elective classes is what I really like to do in school. So me leaving all my friends because I had to go do more work to catch up to their speed, that wasn't a nice thing to do. And especially when it started to take place during recess as well. So I'd be missing recess with my friends, and I was like, I wasn't getting things in the tutoring. Like, we had these reading levels, bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. I really wanted to get platinum because I've always been competitive. Like, that's always lived in me. I was only one out of 26 students to get the bronze. I remember one time I literally got a zero correct. And you would always have a pre-test, and it was telling the rules, but we were never explained how those rules work in spelling. So, like, the V to the E rule, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And I would be like, okay, so I put the V and E in every word. Like, there's no V's in, like,
Right.
in those words. So they would tell me the rule, and I'd spell it the way the rule was told to me.
I've had a patient before who, they're dyslexic. They were getting pulled out. They were getting, so-called remediation. Meanwhile, we had to get them private tutoring services, and it wasn't until the private tutoring services that they actually showed any gain. I got them out of those pullouts, and it was like a big victory for both of us. Like, we just were like, you know what? You guys aren't having impact. You're not doing anything useful anyway. Like, just get her back in the class. And that's a very common thing I see in my clinical practice, is when I'm like meeting the emotional needs of kids with learning differences, we end up having to get the private services because, unfortunately, it seems that the public schools are really still working to kind of catch up in terms of how to best meet the needs of kids with dyslexia most often. So that's what I thought of when you were sharing your story about how many young people are in so-called remediation, and they know it.
One of my mom's favorite quotes ever is by Frederick Douglass. Once you learn how to read, you will forever be free.
Yeah.
Because reading is basically what unlocks, like, your perspectives. You gain so much by reading. I never thought I'd be saying that, but as I began to get better at my reading, I began to love reading. Like, it was something that really did change my perspective on how I think about things, is being able to read and having that literacy, because it's so powerful. It is. And so many people take it for granted because
Yeah.
you learn it. But there's so many people around the world who can't read.
I want to hear a little bit about Carol School and what your experience was. Actually, I'm going to start with this and say to you, when I took my son over to Carol School, and he actually saw Mrs. Wilkins there,
Mhm.
walking into a school where it was like designed for people like me,
Yeah.
and like and not having gotten that myself, and like you hadn't gotten it to the point that you got there, obviously. Like I found that like very emotional. Like inside, it was like a lot to hold. I want to hear what your experience is. And I think these schools, they go through all iterations and changes and things like that. So this isn't like meant to be like a ad for Carol School per se, but I'm curious
Yeah.
about your experience of getting your remediation.
I owe a
Was that,
lot to that school.
what
I
was it?
really
Tell
do.
me, talk to me. Was, yeah.
So I remember I was in third grade, and my mom was like, "Okay, yeah, we're gonna leave the public schools. You're gonna shadow for a day at Carroll because obviously they are a little picky with their admissions process. I know people who get into Carroll who don't get into Carroll. They are looking for a very specific type of neurodiverse that they are able to cater to and are able to remediate. And they can only remediate so many people. So I remember I was pretty far in the admissions process. I actually got a shadow day. And I remember it was the third graders. So I remember I spent a day, I left school. I was there for a whole day at Carroll School. I remember getting in the car and I said to my mom, "Can I come here tomorrow?"
Yeah.
So, because I just felt so like, I was like, wow, school can actually be fun. Like, wow, this is so cool. So, obviously, my mom was like, wow, like, this is the place for her. I started Carol in fourth grade. I was in OG Flex one-on-one tutoring. So at Carol, you do your basic like science, history, English, but they have this period where you go off to your one-on-one specialized tutoring,
Mhm.
and they work with you for about an hour, and it's totally catered toward you. You are decoding, you're reading books, you're getting better, you're practicing those spelling rules that you got wrong on your little list A test back in second grade. I found myself like compared to other people, I was excelling quite fast in that environment. So they definitely do some like grouping. They group kids there based, it's like very strategic off how they work. So I was in basically a classes with these kids. Like I'd never get put in class with different people really. Like you're with your same people for those 5 years. So
Wow.
it's very much a community. I mean, there's only like 72 of us in our graduating class, Carol class of 2022. So I definitely really got close to some of those people there. I never felt different ever.
Mm.
And so many things I learned, like the traditions we do, the classes we take. And you're only in class with 8 people. You know
Mhm.
8 people, and it's felt discussion based. It was very open. It
Mhm.
was an amazing experience. I served as student council president in middle school there for my eighth grade term. And literally one of my favorite things that they told me, because so many people who were on the student council end up going back to Carroll in some form or way. And I remember one of the advisors for student council actually was the president and went to Carroll when he was younger.
Wow.
So I remember on the day of eighth grade graduation, they'll be like, I'll see you in a couple years. And I was like, oh my gosh. I really do see myself going back there in some capacity later in my life or something along the lines of that. But yeah, so that school I owe a lot to, and like finding that personal success and the programs that they do. It's really specialized and targeted. And like we even worked with I don't know if it was Harvard or MIT, targeted
MIT, I think. Yeah.
cognitive intervention. So we get to play these little like mind games, and I thought they were so pointless. But man,
They might be.
I was really working with my mind. I could memorize things. I was so good. I need to do more of that targeted cognitive intervention. Oh my gosh, they need to do more research on me. Maybe I'll just like get better. I love participating in research studies. You want me to talk to you about all my dyslexia? I'll talk to you about it for hours. Gosh,
You're like, study me. I'm interesting.
study
Thank you.
me. I'm a lab rat. Yeah.
That's awesome. It sounds like it was a really like you had opportunities to be in like leadership, and you had a small tight group, and there were people you felt valued by, and there was a sense of almost home and coming home in it, like this sense of
Yeah.
like I want to go, back at some point, because like there's this sense of, yeah. And then recognizing as well, even like in the beginning, you were kind of saying like, it, not everyone gets the benefit of being able to go, and that you were revved up and ready ready to get in there even at a young age. When
Mhm.
I remember when my son went to summer at Carroll, and when he got in the car, the first thing he said was, and he was only, I think, 6, and he said, it was the only year he went. He had Mrs. Wilkins, so he was he was good after that. But he said, "Mom, they're just like me." Like it was the first thing he said. He was so excited. He was so lit up and excited and so happy to be amongst other people that had similarities. And he felt it. He felt that kind of like, you
Oh, you
know,
feel it. As soon as
yeah.
you're around someone who I can point out a dyslexic and neurodiverse person by looking at their handwriting. I can point it out so easily.
They're what?
Handwriting. Oh
Oh,
my
their
God, that's
handwriting. Oh
such a good
yeah.
indicator.
Oh my God, you didn't see.
I
Look at
love
this.
reading people's handwriting because I can tell in a minute. Wait, I can't see it. Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. It's
It's not like a
it's
straight
not
line. I'm
perfect.
just sort of
It's like a
scribbling.
scribble. Yeah, I
It's
can
like,
tell in a second. If you have that nice, neat handwriting, no, you're not. You're not dyslexic, man. Boy, no, it's not. Mm-mm.
you're like, get
I
out,
see someone whose
poser.
handwriting
No,
I can
okay.
barely read. You're similar. You're similar to me. And that's what makes me so good at reading bad handwriting. I'm like, wow, this.
It's so nice to find each other though, right? Like
Oh,
it's
it's
kind of
so funny
cool.
though. I love being I do definitely. I'm a very good like people observer. I'm very observant. So I can point out people who are like I'll go up to my mom, but I'll be like, that kid I just talked to is so neurodiverse.
Oh, so I have actually two moms groups that I'm a part of. One is like national, where it's like we're all from different places in the country, and there's 4 of us, and we're like on this online chat together. And
Mhm.
then there's another one that's local, and both of those, there's 2 of us have dyslexia and 2 don't. Isn't that neat? So
Um,
like, but
yeah.
then the 2 that don't have kids with dyslexia.
Okay.
Yeah. And like there's this, it's the first time I've had that kind of situation. I feel like even in the last year, things have like improved even for me. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Like you're talking to me, I'm the psychologist, but I'm like, no, I'm on this journey, and like
Yeah, I mean, it really does never end. You're always constantly improving. But
yeah,
I've had this habit forever of just like sending emails like, hey, I'm dyslexic. This is what it looks like. This is what my performance anxiety looks like around tests. Because I think even on the every day from the first day of school, since I've like been out of my Carroll school, like for dyslexics, like they taught us those skills.
how have you found AI? Like, I will go into like Copilot and I will put whatever I've said, and I'll say, keep my tone and language, please, clean up for, I might say redundancy, or I might say grammar. And it has learned to kind of, I've trained it like over a year to kind of just be like
Mhm.
that accommodation, because I have a lot to do and I don't yet have a big enough team helping me in the day to day.
Right.
So I mean, have you like found like the grammar checks and all those things? I wasn't raised with that. It's so crazy to me. Like you
Oh,
guys are, yeah.
yeah. So, matter of fact, I go to a college preparatory school in Florida. So, I bet you can imagine what that AI policy looks like. Like, I used to use Grammarly, and they were like, you can't, like, we don't want you to get flagged for anything
Okay.
in school. So, like, Grammarly isn't the best thing because now Grammarly is in the things for those AI detections. So,
Got it.
Grammarly does show up in AI detections.
Got it.
So, it's
That's so interesting.
corrective
So,
nature. So I had to pretty much stop using Grammarly. I know like colleges have been having like AI checkers start to be implemented into the natural review process. So
I've heard they're inconsistent though, that they're not,
they are so inconsistent. They
that
are
they're not valid, that they're not
they are
reliably
not
functioning.
valid for sure. I am someone who's very big on I'd rather walk away with my own integrity
Yeah.
and get a bad grade rather than cheat on something
Yeah.
and get a good grade.
We know the only way to succeed is to go through. We know that because
Mhm.
like learning to read, learning to write, doing all the things, getting the work done in time, which no, I need accommodations. I need a little more time. Now I'm working through my holidays for
Yes.
me in my life, right? So
Yeah.
like I'm thinking about the importance of like that kind of I feel like you're talking about almost like an integrity or like sort of a pride almost, right? Is it
Yes.
but with that gets challenged in us, I think. I don't know. Did you experience that? It seems like your mom got you what you needed and stuff, but
Mhm.
what do you think of that idea? Like that like you almost have to develop this more sturdy.
Oh, 100%. I did have to find a lot of confidence in my work. That confidence is still definitely growing. But having found like study habits and methods that work for me, that have almost like as soon as I found this study like method that worked for me in junior year, in my history class, I went from having like a 96 junior year, which is like, wow, like a 96, that's an A, to a 99 in the class as soon as I figured out like kind of that like little active recall strategy that I have. And I've been using it ever since in high school. Like, I've had to tighten my confidence around the ways I work and I produce better work.
I guess when you recall, you're actually, according to Carl Hendrick, you're actually, that's a part of the learning. So, like, that's a part, like, it's not just recalling what you know, it's actually the recall process when you like bring up things in your mind. That's actually a part of solidifying learning itself. Isn't that amazing?
It's so amazing.
So,
Yeah.
it's interesting to me.
Uh-huh.
When I came across that the other day and I was like, hey, that's actually kind of interesting. Like,
Yeah.
so like instead of thinking of it as like we learn and then we show what we know, it's more
Mhm.
like we take in information and then in the process of putting it down and picking it up, it becomes more solidified.
That's just like calling to like how I study. I like totally like last year I got all A's, straight A's, all four quarters, and they only invite kids who have A's all year to this like headmaster's high honor roll. They like take you off campus and you get like food. I definitely know nobody expected me to be there because one of the kids who was there is like Ivy League kid, like is going to
Yeah.
an Ivy League. Like a lot of those kids like don't necessarily like the vibes I give off. I'm a bubbly person. I want most likely to brighten your day as my senior superlative. So I don't necessarily give off like, hey, like she's super, super academic. So I love like watching people. I love kind of proving people wrong. I think that's something that's been like, even though like they are not like, oh, she's not smart, this, that. It's like, wow, I didn't think she was like smart. Hey, like, wow, you're here. It's like, yeah, like despite everything that I have, I can still be on your level.
Okay, two things come to my mind because this I love what you're saying. So first of all, um when I taught at liberal arts schools that weren't as competitive as MIT, I don't think I was as well liked. I didn't fit in as well. I didn't actually enjoy it as much. At UCLA, I was very happy, but like when I was in this like liberal arts uh, space, like I didn't like it as much. I'm kind of a scientist at heart, I guess. Um, and so when I got to MIT and I started teaching this class, it's just like a like this just this one class that I'm teaching that like I came in on a grant, whatever. Anyway, um, I was so shocked because I felt like right at home.
Hmm.
Like I felt, and it was so interesting because I actually think that my dyslexia has undermined. There's other things that have undermined me. If you read, I don't know if you read my life story, but like I've had a lot of things undermine me in my life. But,
Yeah.
but, but, but my dyslexia, I think, had me even me not like I don't think I was fully appreciating where I was going to actually be most comfortable,
Hmm.
most um relaxed
Hmm.
and most uh, uh, able to freely speak where people would understand my language. People don't see us coming. And if
Oh,
they do see us coming, they misunderstand us. It's it all the time,
but
all the
it's
time.
so fun to prove them wrong. That's my favorite thing to do, like all the time. Like I think my favorite thing is like, oh, like that test was really hard. I'm like, yeah, it was really hard. And they ask like, that my school people love to ask, what'd you get on this test? I was like, yeah, I think I got like three wrong. I got a 97. They're like,
Yeah.
they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, yeah. So
I think it comes,
I've never been an AP kid though. I've only taken three APs my whole high school career. And I actually started at my school's academy program for kids which are dyslexic. That turned out being a whole disaster.
oh,
Transferring schools mid-year of my sophomore year to the other campus, um,
yeah.
finding like myself, and I'm so used to changing schools. So that experience was like definitely not like, oh, this is so scary, but it was,
But good for you for making that choice to change. Because see, here's the
oh,
thing.
I
Like
had
I
to get
think,
out.
yeah, but like I think I've had a lot of experiences in my life, academic experiences, other, work, whatever, postdocs, whatever, where like it wasn't a fit. I actually think there have been a lot of things in my life where I've stayed longer than I should. And
Oh,
that's actually, by the way, that's gendered in the old research. I don't know where we are with it now, but women and girls have a tendency to stay in uncomfortable situations longer than men and boys historically. I don't know what the updated research would
yeah,
say, but
I still believe it. My mom wanted me out of the school I was in freshman year, the first semester, and I stayed two whole more semesters before I was like, yeah, okay, I need to get out.
but there is something good about the desire, the humility and the willingness to think that there is something more you could do, or that, and the desire to prove them wrong, and also the desire, like there is, that is good too, like those are good
Yeah.
attributes, but I think that the again, getting back to like the sense of self, the self-esteem,
Hmm.
like the ability to say, I'm being imposed upon. I'm
Hmm.
frustrated about it. And I am not deserving of this mistreatment or whatever
Oh,
this is, this exploitation, this neglect, whatever it is. And I'm out. Like, thank you very much. Bye. And
oh,
so
I'm
like,
such a like if something isn't working for me, I cut it off.
this is so good. I
That's the
like
type
that.
of person I am. Like I've learned to like I don't put up with it anymore.
That's so
I
good.
think like being able to like transfer and like you have the ability to leave something all the time.
Yeah.
So I just take that when I can.
I
But
think that's
yeah,
fabulous. I
kind
love it. I love it. I can learn from you, Lauren.
yeah, so
Um,
my course progression in high school, I started in the average classes. I was horribly misplaced at my school. They started me in the academy program, which is originally designated for dyslexics. Now they deny my accommodations on the intake test. So they
lovely.
did not provide, yeah, they did not provide me a calculator for my math intake. So I
Hmm.
got the 34th percentile on a test in a class I've already taken. But on English, I got the 75th percentile. So, like, and they gave me my extra time for that. Um,
Hmm.
so they put me in academy, 75th percentile in English, and they put me in the remediation, basically, the remediation that my school has.
Even though you
Got a
did
75th percentile.
did well.
So I started in those classes, kind of like going through high school, because high school is such a journey for me. I got the gift to read in fifth grade. It took me until fifth grade. So I've always kind of had like that little underdog story, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
especially since Carol school ends in eighth grade. So they send you have to find a high school. So that's
Yes.
why I live now in sunny South Florida. But so I started school there and they put me in the academy program. I was there for one semester in my academy English class. And I'm someone who loves a challenge. When things feel too easy
Mm.
for me, I'm like, this is too easy, like get me out. Like being easy is like for people, like a majority of people, they're like, oh, this is so easy. I'm gonna stay where this is because it's not challenging me. Like people thrive on comfort. I'm someone who thrives a little bit on chaos. So I really like my mom was like, yeah, I like literally I remember I called the program a scam. I was like, we're in a scam. So we talked to the people at the school. They're like, usually they only let you transfer out of one class per semester in academy. I managed to get that up to three. So now I was only in one academy core class and three regular standard classes. Um, 2 weeks into my standard English class, I had the worst English teacher I think I've ever had. Um, she was terrible. Like all of it was independent work. I remember we got a packet for the book Night. Do you know the book Night? It's about like the Holocaust. It's a good book. I read it in eighth grade. So this was my second time reading this book. So I already knew all the motifs, the themes, and everything. I remember we got this packet. We were gonna have a vocabulary test, but you'd have to look up the words and find the definition in context of the book. And I remember I would look up the definitions. There'd be like three of them. How am I know which one I'm supposed to pick? So, and she didn't grade the packets for accuracy. She graded them on completion. So the day comes and I'm like, I felt scared to ask her a question, the English teacher. I was like, wow, if this is what standard classes are like, how am I gonna like do this for 4 years? So I remember that day I went and I took the vocabulary test. I was getting horrible grades on her quizzes already, nearly having a B. Craziness. So I got a 60 something on that vocabulary test because the words and the definitions weren't the one like we weren't giving direct explicit instruction here. Something was missing.
Mm-hmm.
You know my mom, she's an advocate. So she very quickly was like, something is wrong with this teacher, which
Yeah.
was. So the school actually moved me into honors on a condition that they would give me modified coursework in the honors class. So basically this whole idea was that they would put me in honors, but I'd be given like CP like course load to get away from the teacher. The honors teacher is the head of the English department. I sit in that class for a couple days. She's like, why were you never in honors to begin with?
Yeah.
So she very quickly said she doesn't need this coursework. She's progressing better than students I have who've been in this class all year. She was beginning to use my writing as an example for people. And I
Wow.
started in the academy a semester before. So in 1 year, I went from academy to CP to honors. So
Wow.
that was a very big jump. I The rest of it has been a little bit slower because you have to meet the prerequisites at our school, get the recommendations, do all this, do all that. So my progression was definitely a little bit slower from there. But that moment like proved to me that I can like obviously that class was not for me. The teacher was not for me. I don't think that teacher was for anyone. But I learned through there that I thrive in harder classes. Like I meet
Yes.
people who are
There we are.
like-minded. I was never able, like, I wish I could take more APs because I love being in an AP class because the teachers are expecting more. And that's what
So yeah, I mean, okay. So there's so much in what you just said to me. Like I had to put down little notes because I was like, there's so much there. Like you said, you thrive in harder classes. I often talk about a lot of us with dyslexia as having like a really high end, a lot of us. I mean, I know there's a lot of complexity in this, and a lot of folks in the dyslexia space have a lot of things to say about a whole lot of things. But I know, at least for me, for my son, and maybe for you, this is how I kind of see it, is that it's almost like you have like a high end computer with sometimes a not great like printer or something. Or
yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's like there's this like this wonderful processor that can do so much,
Yeah.
pick up on the emotion. For a lot of us, it's like pick up on the emotional tone in the room. And you know I feel like some of our insights come very quickly. Like our
Oh,
insights are like boom, like we
yeah.
like um you know and then but then at the same time, I know for me sometimes I have to work hard to get to my main point. Like I come up with more words because I'm not as exacting with my
Mhm.
language
Of
sometimes.
course,
And
yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons sometimes people don't see us coming. I think some of us are that way. Some people just have a hard time generating what it is they want to say. I mean, my language is strong. You obviously have strong language, but like, I don't know, like there's a lot about the way we communicate and write and read. So it's almost like this high-end computer. Yeah, like this high-end computer, but just like, so if you're in a lower functioning class in terms of rigor, I think what happens is we just it's like they're testing our printer, that in that
Yeah.
metaphor.
Feels like we're
Instead,
stuck.
yeah, and so you're
Yeah.
just like testing our printer, and that is actually not great, as opposed to letting us sort of shine by letting us, utilize this high-end system that we
Mhm.
actually have for a lot of us.
Mhm.
especially in the, I guess I'm speaking to 2E in
Yeah.
particular. But so I also like what you said about thriving in chaos. Like I mean, again, I had a very unusual story, but like even if I think about my own son who's had a very more traditional life so far,
Mhm.
um, there is something about this kind of like, I don't know, a lot of us are very like um like we are passionate about learning or like thinking about things together or like doing, and a lot of us are creative, and I don't know, it's a thing, right? Am I?
It is a thing. Like we find our passions in our own spaces, and when we find something, we stick to them. That's something
Yeah.
I am very passionate of. Like if I find something that I really do enjoy, I'm going there all the way to 100%. So
Yeah.
yeah, and that kind of takes me to like my first experience in my AP class, AP Lang,
Hmm.
that teacher. So I was like literally one of my teachers. We have these academic awards every year, so they pick the highest, like the most like greatest person in class. But to say
Yeah.
greatest, I already knew that I was getting it in history when I got the invite because my teacher was like, "Oh, I'll see you there," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, wait, thank you." So I ended up. I remember telling my mom because they don't tell you who's giving it in the email. I was thinking I was gonna get my chemistry award as well. And I remember telling my mom, I was like, there's no chance my AP Lang teacher is giving it to me. I don't think I like in that class, I am totally like woo! Like I like zing in that class. Like I have such like energy and I'm talkative and I'm like all these things. Like
Oh
my
my
friends are
gosh,
in
I
that
love
class that
that.
I've made. I'm like a bubbly person. Like I called horizon a verb one time in that class during the rhetorical grammar thing. And I just remember everybody, including me, I felt so confident. I raised my hand. She's like, "Can you tell us the verb in this sentence?" I was like, "Me." And I said horizon. And I went, "Oh my gosh, no, it's not. No, it's not." And my whole class just starts laughing. And I was laughing too. I was like, "Oh my God, I was so ready to give the right answer. And I just did it." And my teacher, everybody in the class was laughing. It was so funny. So I mean, obviously, like I met so many friends in that class, so I was very talkative in that class. I went to my mom, no chance. I'm like, there's kids who are like so like Ivy League smart, like no chance she's giving it to me. Sitting at the academic awards, they call the English thing first. I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait for history and science. Like they call it by your name, by the like subject. So I'm sitting there like, okay, this is gonna be boring until like they call my name for the history award, and then they're getting down the alphabet, and I hear Lauren Muller for English, and I literally went, and all my friends, like the reaction on my face, like absolute shock. And I
Oh.
remember turning around to my mom, and she's like, and all my friends in the row, they started laughing because I like my reaction. I was like.
Yeah, so shocked.
I think something's wrong here. Zero
Yeah.
chance. She's not giving it
Yeah.
to me. No, no. I'm not the very much like not the best writer ever. Like I didn't think of myself like that in my class. And I remember she gave like a little blurb of a speech. I wonder if I can find it, but it was basically like this girl is like so bubbly in my class. Like she just like she's amazing and she's worked so hard to get where she is. That's like because I obviously told her about my dyslexia and like how like it's
Yeah.
impacted me. Hearing like someone like really like congratulate me for everything that I've overcome and to get an award in English too, AP English too. When the other kid, they pick two kids and each teacher gets to pick two kids. When the other kid was the president of National Honor Society, and then there's me, to be awarded for English, I referenced that in my college essay as that moment I was winning platinum.
Right.
That for me was the moment when I realized I overcame my disability.
Yeah.
Even though I had been like, I've overcome it for so many years and I knew I did, that moment of getting that essay, I reached that platinum level that I had always wanted since I was in kindergarten. And making like that metaphor like really made my whole like experience with dyslexia so full circle because I started at bronze, the only kid in bronze. So many of my kids were at gold, silver, and platinum. I
Right.
wanted to be there, but I couldn't because I wasn't getting things. I was
Mhm.
being asked to read books where I'd have to look at the image and then say the word. I wasn't sounding out letters. I was guessing.
Right.
It's such like a part of like what I was guessing.
But here's the thing, it wasn't actually, that was not,
That was on
okay.
instruction.
Going back to the framework I said,
Mhm.
your system is valuable and high end. And
Mhm.
then the question is, who are the people around you and do they know it? That's all. This is the thing that's so interesting to me.
Mhm.
I'm actually, as you're talking, I'm thinking about learning and how we like emotional learning,
Mhm.
right? And like how we learn emotionally. And
Mhm.
your story is amazing. I love how you told it. I love your story
Mhm.
because it's a great example of like you we have like these associations to our
Yeah.
environment or whatever, right? And it is not in the avoiding pushing on, it is in the pushing on that we eventually have a new experience. It's in the pushing on, and that's what you did. You leaned in and you kept going, and
Mhm.
you ended up finally in environments and in opportunities where you were able to show your capacity, where
Mhm.
you were able to show what your value truly is.
Mhm.
So when you were younger, it's a hit. We take a hit and we learn something.
Yeah,
That
we
the
do.
learning is inaccurate
Mhm.
because it's more a reflection, as we know now, as you know, it's more a reflection of a flawed system than anything else.
Oh,
But
so
we internalize it and we don't know what to make of it. And we feel, and then we take these, we feel out of step. And then people, as you're saying, you've got this like, beautiful personality. And like, just because you have a beautiful personality does not mean that you lack intellect. And that's where people are confused. You can have a beautiful personality
Mhm.
and have intellect. Like the two things can coexist. Do you
Can
know what I mean?
coexist at the same time. Yeah. Yeah, like looking back on like my whole experience, especially with I can kind of dive into this right now. I was in the midst of it a year ago, standardized testing, SAT, ACT. How fun is that? I've never been a standardized testing person, and we are the number one school in Florida at my school for a national merit list. 60 kids on national merit at our school from the PSAT. Now, I've only taken the PSAT twice, because I got out of it taking it freshman year because I was so like obsessed with like the idea of going test optional out of school. And I was never getting good like PSATs. Like my PSAT was like a 900 the first time. And I was like, oh man, this really isn't for me. And I gladly admit it. I admit it. The SAT was never a test for me. But
No, same. I'm right with you.
when I
Yeah.
tried the ACT for the first time, on the other hand, I felt automatically better on the test, and they
Huh.
gave me amazing, amazing accommodations. Like I will say, if you're neurodiverse and are able to get accommodations, the ACT board is so much better ways to go. I had separate day testing, so each section I got to do in one day. Triple
Oh,
time with a human reader. Yeah.
I like that.
So I
So
was
you can
able,
show what you
yeah.
can do.
So
So
I
you
can
can
show
show
what
what
I
you can
can.
do. Because
And on the
what's in
first,
your mind. So here's the thing, Lauren, like what's in your mind is in your mind.
mhm. Yeah.
like like that's where people I feel like people are so confused about like the time accommodations and things like this. I'm like,
Oh, they
just
get
don't
so
get it.
confused.
Like
They do not get extra
they
time.
don't get it.
So many of my friends are like, "Oh, I just wish I had extra time so I could like spend more time on my test." I'm like,
So I was in
not
the
how
top
extra
10.
time works.
Yeah. So my licensing exam was probably, I mean, my GRE, I studied so hard when I was back at UCLA, took the GRE. Actually, it was back when they had like a paper like
Oh
version.
boy.
I know, I'm old. And they were like, and we were like filling it out. So I went through and I filled it all out. And then I went to go fill in the bubbles. Halfway through the bubbles, time up. It was
I don't believe.
earth shattering and brutal. It's part of why I made some of the decisions I made. Looking back, I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, but brutal. And I was like so upset about it. This was an example where I was like, I don't even want to go back in. I was so disheartened, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate. I kind of wish that was a moment I should have just gone back in. But
Right.
I was so disheartened. But then
Yeah.
fast forward when I took my licensing exam. So I love how you figure this out at a young age. Because
Mhm.
like for me, I was making some of these decisions for the first time much older and
Mhm.
much further along. So I kind of just like it was like brute force that I got through schooling. Um, So for my licensing exam, I had to study
Mhm.
longer than other psychologists,
Oh,
right? So I took more time out of my life to study for this exam. A lot of people can do it in like 6 months. I took like a year and a half, maybe even. I can't
we
remember. It was
work
at
for
least a year.
things. When we want something, we work for it.
It's true. So I did, and then I went in and I got double time was my accommodation, and so it was an 8 hour exam, and you can use the bathroom, but like it's an 8 hour exam. Um, and I scored in the top 10% of psychologists
Oh, and you'll love to
in
hear
Massachusetts.
mine. Yeah, so with my ACT, when I took it twice because I got a 32 my first time, which is like a high 1400 on the SAT
Okay.
equivalency.
Okay.
My math section was like so different. Like you can score out of 30, 1 to 36 on
Mhm.
the ACT in each section. I had
Mhm.
30s in all my other ones, but I had 25 in math. And I was like, when I saw something in the 20s, I was like, I want to fix that. And I remember my parents got me tutoring for the ACT, thinking I'd like need a solid amount of it. And so it got a 32 the first time. My parents were like, this is insane. Like you got the 32 out of 36 for the first time. And I was like, I'm not done yet. I want to fix that math section. So I still had all these tutoring sessions left. So I put them only towards math for only a month. And I went from a 25 to a 32. And now my composite's a 34 out of 36.
Nice.
And the most amazing thing about that is that's a 1510 on the SAT.
I hope you're applying to like strong schools. So
Yes.
when you were talking about these other kids who are like, whatever, Ivy League bound, this, that, whatever, like, I hope you're shooting for the stars right now because
Damn.
good.
I hope they see the application and are like, yay, like let's accept her. But
It's
honestly, yeah, I'm in one of my favorite, like amazing schools already. I'm in one of my favorite ones. That's not an Ivy League or one of those top 20 things.
somewhere you want to be.
Yeah, I really applied to schools like every single, even those big reach ones. I really do see myself at those schools. Like I never applied somewhere where I was like, I'm just gonna apply because I'm gonna apply because I'm just gonna apply.
Right.
Like I'm not
Right.
just doing the action of applying to a school
Yeah.
because of its name, its recognition, its everything. I applied to schools where I would only see myself and I would only see myself succeeding in those places.
Nice.
It was very picky with where I picked.
Good.
So,
Good.
yeah, I'm definitely like I applied to Dartmouth up in New Hampshire. I
I
applied.
did neuropsych evals there. I trained at my practicum.
That's so cool. Yeah,
Yeah, I trained at the Dartmouth Medical Center
Duke and
during.
Vanderbilt as well for those
Yeah,
days.
it's really pretty up there.
Oh, I used to live in Exeter, New Hampshire.
Okay, yeah.
So Boston, then Exeter, but yeah. So definitely applying to those little reaches. I was
Um,
never expecting like someone who was like getting a 900 on their PSAT to go to a 34 on their ACT in 2 tries.
Thank you, by the way, because I will encourage my son, who's a junior right now,
Oh yeah,
and
definitely try the
dyslexic too, like me
ACT.
and you. Yeah, yeah, to do the ACT.
Yeah,
So
because
I
I
was
think standardized testing is so hard to like wrap a head around, especially as someone who is neurodiverse. Because I was like, oh, and especially since a lot of schools are now going back to tests required. So
Yeah,
now you really do have to really get those nice test scores to be able to
yes,
go to all these colleges. So
yes,
getting harder and harder. But
yeah,
honestly, it's been like the whole admissions process. You learn a lot about yourself
yeah.
and how you work and how all these things are. It's a lot of work, don't get me wrong, but
I feel like you've been on that journey all along, though, Lauren.
yeah. This one was only like writing essays every day after school alongside
Yeah,
homework.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
it's really you right because in college you're talking about yourself on
Yeah.
paper. That's something I never really do. I
Okay,
never really get to do. You're writing all these prompts about your lived experiences, and it's so awesome to be able to write things down on paper and like
that's
talk
cool.
about things that have impacted you. Like,
I think it really helps.
it does. You're writing about like lessons you've learned in your life, and something about that is so like, I don't know, like therapeutic
Consolidating,
and
maybe. I
declarative. Yeah,
wonder.
it's a lot of
Like almost consolidating, like you're
Mhm.
sort of integrating. You're integrating like all of these experience like we have all these experiences, and then when you write, it becomes almost like in the therapy world, we call it like a container. Like
Yeah,
it's a container for your experience and your emotions and things like that. Like this sort of container in the print and the things that you're writing.
Mhm.
That there's it's I think that's like another reason why being able to write is important, I think, because it
Oh,
is
100%.
right.
Seeing it all out on paper, I have every single one of them saved. My favorite application to actually do was Dartmouth because they asked so many amazing questions. I'm someone who doesn't like writing those essays, but the questions they ask, like they let you pick from a bunch of prompts.
Hmm.
Like I remember first one you have to go, why do you want to go to Dartmouth? The second one, it's like introduce yourself.
Hmm.
Just introduce yourself. And I remember I actually wrote about like how I'm so addicted to like doing my hair. I love curling it. Like I love like presenting myself as very like clean and prepared to
Yes.
interviews. Because when I feel like I am like ready to do something, like I am like here and everything, I like mentally work harder. Like
Yes.
I feel like my like presence, like and how I look, like plays into how I work. So if you
You
don't,
sound like a CEO.
yeah, if you don't feel your best, you're not going to do your best. So I wrote about that and I was like, everyone would compliment me on my hair. And I was like, oh, I'm going to win the best hair superlative. Funny enough, I won most likely to brighten your day. So I said something that I like have never like been able to like control. Like I've never been able to control my personality. Like you can't control how you act. You're just born with your personality,
Oh,
I guess. So I
gosh.
said, people compliment me on my hair, but what people love most about me is my character.
Yeah.
And that was something that I had never expected to get before. So that's how I introduced myself to Dartmouth. Like I'm someone who's super like I do this, I do this, I do this. And
Yeah.
yet people appreciate me for my character.
Well, the thing is, I actually thought about this earlier when you were talking as well.
Mhm.
I think that you're somebody because early on you were open about who you are and you had supports around you that helped you be open about who you are
Mhm.
and what's easy and what's difficult and whatever.
Mhm.
What happens is when you do that, your people find you. Like I feel like I have taken longer than you. Look at me, I'm old and I'm like this is like a long journey. I love that you've had the kinds of supports and that's what I guess I help provide for kids in my
Mhm.
practice and that's
It's
what I've given my
fine to do
son and that's
that.
like what I've provided
Yeah.
to other people.
Mhm.
But I think even for me, like I wasn't officially diagnosed until I was at UCLA
Mhm.
during the end of my undergrad years, actually
Mhm.
the end.
Wow.
I know. So I think there's something good about like when you are able to just own and I think people thought of me like that, but I really wasn't where I wanted to be in this regard. And I can tell, like from what you've described, that you have been, again, part of this has to do with the supports you have around you. So
Mhm.
like kudos to your mom, kudos to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like get and you like fighting to get into the systems that could honor you
Mhm.
as a human being and
Mhm.
give you your civil rights and like treat you with dignity and all those things. Um, and like then when you're writing these essays and such, it's a manifestation of that. It's sort of like, this is who I am, and I'm letting you know who I am. So you get to choose now what you're going to do with me, but like here I am. And I think people really appreciate that.
Yeah, it was definitely a very like amazing process. Like even like in the other supplement, they had us write about a book.
Mhm.
I've always loved The Outsiders because I'm like, oh, I see myself as an outsider sometimes. But
Yeah.
I remember in class at Carroll, our teacher made us like read the book in like the lines in the book of characters for like she assigned us the characters that we'd read. And I remember she picked Cherry for me. And she said, like, you just remind me so much of her. And as I started reading the book, I was like, this girl is so vain, so annoying. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is what my English teacher thinks of me. But like, the more you read about the book, the more you realize Cherry is much like an outsider. She's just stuck in an area she doesn't want to be in. People who are labeled as different, they definitely go through, I think being labeled as different isn't a bad thing at all because it teaches you a lot.
Right. The label to me is necessary because the mistreatment is going to happen because, as you said, sort of we're on the like the little bit perceived or we are experiencing being on the outside sometimes.
Yes,
We're not the majority. We're not the majority.
we are.
So we're going to be disenfranchised. We're going to
Yes.
be, we're going to be outsiders. People like what's familiar and
Oh
they
yeah,
like expectable and predictable.
and
And
comfort.
we are not that though. We are not predictable. We are not what's expected. They don't see us coming. Um, um, underestimated. Maybe that's the word I was looking for. I'm not even sure
Underestimated.
anymore.
Yeah.
We're underestimated. I have to write it down so I remember later.
Yes, they
But
really.
we're underestimated.
Mhm.
And I think that and in some ways there's this risk that we like take in that learning, like, oh yeah, we are less than. Oh yeah, we and it's not, to me, it's not even the label, because the label, like dyslexia specifically, it's interesting. Like I don't really I sort of like, at this point I'm like, yeah, I'm dyslexic. Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, just say it. And people are like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, "Why are you sorry?"
I'm like, don't be sorry about
Don't
that.
be sorry at all.
I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
hyper perceptive of the tone and the emotions of the room. I've got some mad skills with empathy.
yeah,
I'm like, and I know some people
big.
don't, some people don't want to like drive this home. They're like, oh
Yeah,
no, but if we focus on the strengths, then it like, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, are you only want to focus on my struggles with fitting in with you? Or can we acknowledge the strengths?
yeah.
Like, can
Mhm.
we do that? Like, I don't know. So,
I know.
but that's just because,
Yeah, I feel like a lot
so
of people gravitate towards people who like are different. Like I feel like definitely like I've definitely
hmm,
found like myself this year especially, I have so many friends. That's like something like crazy to say like, "Oh, I have so many friends." But truly, I feel like I've been able to get along with all types of people because of the way I've been able, like obviously with masking. I don't
yeah.
mask anymore. I don't do that anymore. But definitely a lot of the points in my life, even when I was around people like Carol, like middle school was a big time for me. Um,
Yeah.
I think like a lot of people like are so used to like hiding
Yeah.
things, like with especially
Yeah.
neurodiverse. Like I
Yeah.
don't look dyslexic on paper anymore. Like if you were to give
Right.
me a test, my neuropsychologist, Dr. Fertelli, I'm not dyslexic on paper anymore. And people would never guess now from the way I am so open about things that I have ADHD, I have dyslexia. I mean, ADHD is a little bit more obvious, but dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyspraxia, all those things, like they don't like having the invisibility of a disability. Like not all disabilities are visible. I actually posted a TikTok on one of my pages. I love theme parks, I love Universal, but waiting in lines really does like spatial overload. It really does get to me. That I make a video like making a little fun of it, like POV, like you have the disability pass, so like you get to wait outside at the lines. So like it's like you get to wait outside. I'm like POV, like it was for the people, the neurodiverse community. Oh my gosh, 1.6 million views later, and a bunch of hate comments basically saying how does ADHD shouldn't be considered a disability.
Oh,
It was very funny to like watch, and it was like I as a person who has ADHD, I don't think it's that serious. It
people
was
are so
it
fascinating.
was so fascinating to see like for people that did like find it like, oh my gosh, this is so funny, like me with my things, like this is what I do for my family because I have this and that.
But this is where, right. So
It
we
was
can either,
so mixed, the comments. It was really interesting to watch because it really did show me like I'd never been in a place where people like think like being disabled is like, oh, like that's a bad thing, guys. Like,
well, so here's the thing. People, I think often, to me, the thing that you pointed out that I think is the most relevant here is in my world anyway, and the things that I've been thinking about
mhm,
is the sensory overload. So I think that we don't only, so in my, I believe that people with dyslexia, a lot of us, I don't know about everybody, and I don't know what there's, there's only a little bit of research, but like
mhm.
I do believe we're hyper perceptive to the emotions in the room, the
Yeah,
emotional tone, but also there's a lot of, I think with autism, but I think also with some ADHD, and then maybe even a touch of dyslexia. I don't know. We have like, there's a genetic thing where like we all have like this sort of sensitive gene or something, I believe.
yes.
I think I'm getting that right. I don't know. Um, I'm not a geneticist here, but I do know that like that sensory overload for people who get it is profound and can put enormous strain and stress on a human system in a way where if we don't sort of accommodate that some, we're not going to have the energy and the emotional capacity and the stress. Like we're going to be so stressed, not, people will be so stressed if they
Yeah.
have that sensory sensitivity that
Mm,
they're not going to be able to lean into new challenges because they're just going to be flooded eventually.
yeah.
Right. And so the idea is, I talk a lot about like bringing down that baseline everyday, day to day stress so
Mhm.
that you can then lean into stress. so that you can lean into the things that are meaningful that you need to do,
Yeah.
right? And so to me, that form of accommodation for yourself actually makes great sense from
Hmm.
the point of view of not having chronic severe stress
Hmm.
so that you can use stress and stress exposure productively. So, in other words, there is stress related growth. But if you're flooded in stress, you can't do stress related growth, meaning do the really difficult things that you want to do, that you need to do, that
Hmm.
have some purpose.
Hmm.
So to me, it's like again, from a scientific side, but I just geek out on this all day. But like from my point of view, what you said was a really wonderful example of embracing the accommodation. And I hear what you're saying. There's
Hmm.
a way in which people, exactly, they don't like to be surprised. They do like sameness. They
I
do
don't like
like,
different.
they don't want different.
Yeah.
They're gonna have a feeling about it. And like
Yeah.
you're learning to embrace that. Again, I'm just gonna say it. I hope it's not awkward for me to say, but like I feel like you're embracing it much earlier than I did. Like I'm only starting to
Yeah.
sort of not retreat. My word for this year is occupy. That's
Mhm.
my word for the year because I want to occupy space and not retreat just because someone else has a feeling about my
Yeah,
existence.
it was so interesting because I had never seen that like kind of like a little borderline ableist comments in my
Yes.
comment section. I mean, I posted that video as a joke and it got over, it's still getting views to this day, 1.5 million views that video has on TikTok.
Oh my God.
You can only imagine the opinions some people have in the comments
Yeah.
section. Honestly, like that whole little video that I posted as a joke, I wasn't expecting it to get such crazy because I've been someone my whole life who's been like, oh, I embrace my disabilities. I'm not afraid to like make crack jokes at them and be funny about it. So
Well, it's sort of like
just
a
seeing it.
there's sort of like a I mean, some people have said this about some people have said that when I do presentations
Mm.
that I'm not commanding the room like other people and that I'm a little bit more accessible to the audience and that I can even be slightly they've called me even though I haven't really seen it. I don't know. Okay, I kind of do actually. But they call me a little bit so they like say it like it's like slightly self-effacing. Other people who command a room they create a big wall between
Yes.
themselves and the audience. And so it's like it's a little bit of like a aren't I supposed to command a room? I guess so, whatever. I don't know. But like it's but on the other hand, they're like, no, it's good
Hmm.
because people feel like they can talk to you and they
Hmm.
can say what they're thinking and what they're afraid of or what their what their concerns are or whatever and that I'm not putting up a wall to that. Like I'm allowing some of that. I just naturally do that. It's exhausting, I'm not gonna lie, but it's also an interesting dynamic. So like you're also talking about this like how you're able to sort of like you're like this is my story. I'm going to tell it. I'm going to kind of laugh at the humor in it in the if I trip, I can laugh at myself and kind of like whatever because it just is what it is.
It is
Like it
what it
is what it
is.
is.
Yeah, I'm different and that's okay. It's just
Yeah.
like such like I just
I
like
think you see the humor in other people not thinking it's okay.
yes, I find it hilarious.
There is something about us finding humor in things because the other day I put out a post and I laughed a little. And I think it was because I saw there was something that, in my view, seemed a little bit ridiculous in light of the science. And
Mhm.
I couldn't, I mean, it's just like, so like there was like a little bit of a like,
Mhm.
what's going on here? And I kind of cracked, it was almost like a little bit like a joke. I was actually laughing at the interaction. So like I made a comment and then a colleague made a comment and they were like, are we doing that now? And I just thought it was funny when I was thinking about that interaction. That's actually what I was laughing about, actually.
Yeah.
But I also do think that there's almost like irony or humor in some of the moves that are made, like in society. Like people do weird things. People come up with weird solutions sometimes.
Yeah.
And like, so to be able to just be like, this was a weird solution, and kind of giggle about it, I don't know. So it really upset people that I laughed because apparently being psychologist while human is a problem. And certainly psychologist, human, and dyslexic, I think is a problem for the world.
Yes.
And so I do think that there is something about, I think a lot of us have like a little bit of like a dry humor or can be self-effacing or could be, I don't know. Like, I think it's because we've just had to roll with so much. I don't know. Like, I don't know what that is. And maybe it's not everybody, and maybe there's very serious dyslexics out there, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But like, I think there might be something about humor. And then um we talked about a lot of other things like this kind of persistence and then this like writing and this getting accommodations, this being transparent so that other people can find us,
Mhm.
other people who will value us. Like, yes, the others will find you too, apparently, right? You get on TikTok,
Yeah.
like, people who
Yeah.
are not going to appreciate
Yeah.
are going to be
Everyone's
there.
gonna find you at some point.
Right. But if we're
Yeah.
not authentic about who we are,
Mhm.
then the people who are gonna kind of love and care for us aren't gonna find us either.
Exactly.
So like I think we have no choice but to be authentic, and to keep it real and to say what's easy, what's difficult, who we are, what our journey is. Because if we're not doing that, then the people who need us can't find us. The
Mhm.
people who will care about us can't find us. The people who need like the message, whatever, all of it.
Mhm.
So I actually think that it's interesting. Again, like I think your generation has, I imagine, I don't know if it's generational or not, but like I just imagine being exposed to technology from a young age. I know there's costs and benefits to that, I'm sure. I know.
Totally.
But your ability to kind of process through, I got only like, I don't know, 600,000 views on something where like people were really riled up about what I said. I said schools were causing mental illness, with all their calm down plans.
Yeah.
Um, and and
Well,
not meeting the needs of people with dyslexia is what I was
yeah,
saying. Actually,
but it is happening. People, yeah. I mean, yeah. That whole little
but
thing.
it's like,
So
but
many.
even like that, like waken. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like there's some way in which that, as you said, you don't really want to be masking. You don't really want to be.
Mhm.
You want to be sort of authentic in the world. You want to be able to be who you are.
Mhm.
And how do we do that? Like, yeah, we get the accommodations, we get the, we write about it, we
Right.
find
Yeah.
other people like us. If we're honest about it, then we can
Mhm.
find our people. All those things, I don't know. It's like it's all a big part of the mix. And like
Yeah.
also like persisting, because if you don't persist, you're going to possibly end up in situations that you don't belong. Because you kind of have to persist so that you can be with people.
A lot of perseverance that comes with it.
That's
You
right.
learn it, and as soon as you first have that little experience, I think it just keeps going. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So okay, so we talked about standardized testing as well. We talked about all these things. Um, and I wanted to hear about Carol, so that's great. And like what your experience was of being with
Mhm.
others with similar profiles, with the dyslexia profile,
Mhm.
and the variations of that. So what else do you think I should know, or what do you want to know from me?
What do I want to know? Hmm. My gosh. So, like, I definitely know, like, getting a diagnosis, like, initially, like, what were your thoughts? Because I know you got it later. I've
Mm.
never really talked to somebody who's gotten it later. I've been surrounded by people
Yeah.
who've gotten it around the age of me. And
Yeah.
I can only imagine how different it is because you grow up feeling like you're something else, but
Hmm.
you don't know what it is. And I think
That's
that
right.
that also comes in from my family because we don't really know where the dyslexia came from. We have neurodiverse people on both sides of my family. So
Mhm.
it's it's finding people similar, but you're like, you're so much like me, but I can't pinpoint it. How was like getting diagnosed? How did that?
I love that question. It's such a great question. Well done, ma'am. Okay, so first of all, when I will say that when I was younger, they assessed me when I was 5, but back then
Mhm.
they were not really diagnosing this kind of 2E profile so much.
Mhm.
I was told, I don't know, like they said she takes a really long time, but she eventually gets there. The proof is in the pudding. This is what my mom was told according to the story. Okay. But like had all these signs, Lello instead of yellow, anomia, struggle with naming things. I'm like, I had all the signs, all the stuff. Also, though, I somehow through elementary school was placed in sort of, they back then were tracking, and I was placed with the kids who were sort of the more sort of academically advanced. And so what happened was it was always a secret. So I was always at home working harder when I was younger in the earlier years. And then the family was such a disaster, it all kind of fell apart. So, and
Yeah.
if you read my bio, right? Like, so in the very early years, there was some attempt, and I knew what I needed to do in terms of at least the grit and the stick-to-itiveness, but my life was not set up for that. And
Mm.
so things fell apart. They started falling apart in middle school, and then they really fell apart in high school academically. I almost didn't
Yeah.
graduate high school. I had a 2 point something GPA. I there were layers, right? So
Mm.
like bright, capable, dyslexic, and then all those layers. But so then when I was at UCLA, I worked hours and hours and hours because I do have slow processing. So like I did well at UCLA. My professors wrote letters of recommendation. I probably could have gone to a lot of different wonderful universities for grad
Yeah.
school. I don't know. Um, and so I did well because I put in so much time and I had
Yeah.
not gotten assessed yet. I didn't get assessed till the very end. And
Mm.
I think that I just kind of accepted things will take forever. I will
Mm.
have to work very hard. And this is just the way it's going to be. And I want to get my degree. So then when I went and I got assessed, I was like, it was like a gift to myself. It was like, I'm just going to find out if this is a diagnosis. My mom says this thing she thought I was, but like it wasn't validated fully. I
Mm.
think I'm just going to go and get this done. And so I did it at UCLA and I was scared. I was terrified. I worried that I was just lazy, that I just was, or not as intelligent.
As
Um,
everybody else. Yeah.
and so when I got the assessment done, at that point also, I had layers of life. It's a little confounded at that point, but it was clearly dyslexic. Like they were like, yes, you are dyslexic. And I think I felt relieved. Um, I felt relieved. And then I began the journey of trying to figure out how to ask for accommodations.
Mm.
Just like you said when you first showed up at a school, you weren't given certain accommodations.
Mm. Oh,
When
yeah.
I went to grad school, my first year in grad school, I asked for accommodations and they didn't give them. I had to prove myself to them. And also, one professor, only one at UCLA, basically said they don't believe in dyslexia. They gave me my accommodations because they had to. And so for me, that was like a new experience. See, so it was like I wasn't raised into advocacy, I wasn't
Yeah.
raised into accommodations. It
Mm.
was something that I had to like claw through, something that I had to like find and like discover without an infrastructure in place. For me, because I'm an expert in a particular area, I have a lot of knowledge in that particular area. And
Mm.
so then that sort of helps, even though my processing speed is slow, there are things that have all been sort of what we call primed or practiced
Mm.
or, retrieved many times and different,
Right.
and then connected to other things that are all sort of in this like realm. And so I think sometimes what can happen is some of us, maybe we get expertise and it makes it a little bit easier.
I remember when I first got diagnosed, I was like, what? I was kind of like, what? Like, because you're only 7 years
You
old.
were so
I
young.
mean, I was so young. And then all of a sudden things started changing so fast. Like, you were getting pulled out with kids, and we all weren't getting things. So it was definitely a lot. I'm so
Yeah.
thankful that I've been given the opportunity to give people voices that can't. That
You
have.
had to grapple with the label and the visibility
Hmm.
early on.
Hmm.
I was taught early on to hide. Do you think that we as a society could reform our approach to kids? It seems like when we look at my story and your story, it already has reformed some, but
Yeah, I think we're already on a process to get there, but I think obviously there are always people who are going to believe like dyslexia and ADHD aren't real. And hey, they are very real things. The law recognizes them as real things.
yeah.
So I definitely think that there needs to be more screening for at young ages. I think we should be able to catch those people young. We need to start. I do not want to be a one-off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not the one person who got everything early and gosh, here she is, a perfect student, straight A's. That's not the real story. We need to catch those people young. We need
Yes.
to educate people. I believe that just more acceptance needs to be shown for people who have disabilities. And I think the more acceptance that we get, the better off we will be.
Yeah. And then we're not going to be isolated and then we'll be connected. And then we get to kind of like everything can roll from there. We can write about it, we can talk about it, we can be in it, we can find our people. I love it. Oh my gosh, you are so smart. Check you out.
Thank
This is
you.
really good. I feel like this has been like a really, really meaningful conversation. I'm like excited for you to graduate and get off to college and do your thing. Maybe you can come and like, who knows, maybe if Raising Moxie takes off as we plan for it to, you could like come I can.
I applied to Boston College.
Oh, okay. So
Down the
maybe
road in Chestnut Hill.
ooh, internship at Raising Moxie. Maybe think about it. Future, maybe a future job. Who knows? We can get this thing going. So oh my gosh. I am so happy to have met you, Lauryn. I'm so happy we spoke. You should stay in touch with me. Like,
Yes, I will.
if
100%.
anything comes, yeah, like if anything comes up, like I would say, like if you're in town, call me. We can go to coffee, like whatever.
Yes,
Like if anything
100%.
comes up, or if there's anything that like any follow-up thoughts or questions or anything at all, just like don't hesitate. Don't be a stranger. Okay, feel free to reach out.
I will.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for this. This was so awesome.